Tottenham Hotspur are in dire need of signing a number 6 this summer if they really want to kick on under Thomas Frank next season. But the issue we have is it's a very saturated market and we don't really know what we want and who would be the best fit for this new look Tottenham side after parting ways with Ange Postecoglou. But don't worry, I've got you covered. This video is going to go through all of the options Tottenham have been linked with as their new defensive midfielder, what their stats are like, and who we think will be the best fit under Thomas Frank as we head into the 2025-26 season. Before I get into this video, I just want to say a massive thank you for all of the support on the channel recently. For those of you that have been watching the videos, joining the live stream, are new to the family, everything in between, thank you so much. You guys are making my dreams come true. We are closing in on 3,000 subscribers for the channel, so if you have a spare second and you enjoy my content, please feel free to hit that subscribe button down below and like the video, of course. The goal by the end of the 25-26 campaign is to hit 5k subs, and about 70% of you watching this video are not subscribed to the channel. So let's change that right now and hit that button down below. So, we know that after signing Mohamed Kudus, and hopefully when this Morgan Gibbs-White deal comes through in the next couple of days, the attention is going to turn to a central defensive midfielder for Tottenham. But what do we actually need in that position? We've seen over the last year or so the likes of Yves Bissouma, Lucas Bergvall, Rodrigo Bentancur play in that deeper lying midfield role, but I still don't feel like either of them are perfectly fitted to what we need and require as a number 6, especially when we play a formation that is probably not going to change too much under Thomas Frank to start with, which is a 4-2-3-1. We have those ball-playing midfielders, we have the box-to-box type of players as well, but what we are really lacking is a gritty player that can put in hard tackles, win the ball in situations that you sit there and think, wow, how has he managed to do that? Some players that are just able to shrug people off of them. Remember Moussa Dembele for Tottenham, how incredible he was, how difficult it was to get the ball off of him. That is the type of player that Tottenham are so dearly missing at the club at the moment, and I do think it is a priority position for the summer. Now, there have been a ton of links, of course, with Spurs, and I am going to go through them, and I think the first and most popular one is Adam Wharton from Crystal Palace. Now, look, I think he would be in the top 2 signings that we could make as a new number 6 for Spurs. Adam Wharton is young, he has still got so much potential to his game, and he is already at a really high standard. He, of course, took part in Crystal Palace's campaign this season, helped him get to the FA Cup final and, of course, win it, and he's only really just made that step up from the Championship. So the fact that he's now got this year's worth of Premier League experience under his belt, I feel like he would be an impressive buy and a statement signing as well, because unfortunately for Tottenham, it does feel like Crystal Palace would command a ridiculous fee for Adam Wharton. We are talking somewhere in the region of 80 to 100 million, because Crystal Palace, as I understand it, have no intention of selling him this summer, especially if they let, say, Eberechi Eze go, they let Michael Elise go last season. They're trying to move away from being this club that are just cherry-picked of all of their players, and I understand it to an extent, but Adam Wharton is a midfielder that I think a lot of top clubs would love to get their hands on, particularly Tottenham, and I will tell you why. I will give you my reasons. So I've done my research and I've looked up the stats for Adam Wharton. And what are the areas that he thrives in on the pitch? Well, it's exactly what I said a minute ago. That ball-winning type of midfielder. He is someone that makes well over 1.5 interceptions per 90 minutes. So we know that he can cut the spaces, read the game in the middle of the park really well, and find himself in the right positions. He's making blocks every single game. He's making nearly 2 clearances per game as well. And the best thing about it as well, he's really comfortable on the ball. Progressive passes per 90, 7.3, making him inside the top 9% in the world for that stat, which I think is truly impressive. He has a significantly higher dual completion percentage rate than a lot of midfielders in the Premier League. He wins nearly 90% of the duels that he is involved in, whether that be in the air, whether it be on the ground. So making tackles is his speciality, and we know as Tottenham fans, we've missed that for a long time. Making nearly 2.5 tackles per 90 minutes, and I just think he would be an assured, comfortable player that would slot right into this Spurs team. And the best part about it, he would count as homegrown, he would help with our squad issues, and he's English, of course. That's always an added bonus for Premier League teams, I think. Maybe that's why he's so expensive with this English tax, But I genuinely do think alongside someone like Morgan Gibbs-White, if he does come in and play that number 8 role, alongside Bentancur or Bergvall or Archie Gray if he manages to get there, he would be the signing to make. And now I do understand that Spurs have asked for conditions about this Adam Wharton deal. However, as I say, it's not looking massively likely at the moment. So I have a question for you guys as well, actually. Would you rather leave a central midfielder and potentially come back in next summer for someone, for Adam Wharton, and see if you can get a deal done then? Or would you simply move on to another target? Is it that much of a priority position? Now, the next player I want to talk about is my favourite choice for this position. And I think a lot of you will know who I'm talking about. It is Carlos Baleba from Brighton. This guy is going to be a world-class midfielder inside the next 18 months to 2 years. You guys thought Moises Caicedo is good. I think Carlos Baleba has an even higher ceiling than him. And look, I know that we like him. However, it's very similar to the Adam Wharton situation in terms of I just don't think that Brighton are willing to even listen to offers for him this summer. He is such an integral part to how they play and the success that they've had under Hertzela so far. His stats are just next level. When I was doing the research, those of you that use FB Ref, all of his stats pretty much are green. It's insane. I'll go through the list. Tackles, 2.67 per 90. Interceptions, 1.56 per 90. Blocks, 1.59 per 90. Clearances, 1.49. Aerial duels, 1.32. All of those are massively towards the top end of how Premier League midfielders perform, inside the top 20% across all of those categories, which is incredibly impressive. I think the thing that makes Carlos Baleba stand out more than a lot of other number 6 on the planet, to be honest, is his ability to also be progressive with the ball. He takes his man on. He completes at least 1.5 successful dribbles and take-ons per 90 minutes. Whereas someone like Adam Wharton, you're not necessarily going to get that. But Baleba, he can certainly, you best believe, he can absolutely do that sort of stuff on the pitch. You're also talking a really good ball carrier. Remember how Moussa Dembele used to just glide forward with the ball and nobody could tackle him? Baleba has similar traits to that. Now, I'm not comparing him to Dembele because that would be unfair on the young kid, but he is a potentially world-class midfielder, and I would break the bank for him. There are not many midfielders out there in the world that I would say pay 100 million for. Baleba is one of them, and he is by far and away my favourite choice for who Spurs should sign as a number 6 going forward. So those are the two sort of players that would be the perfect fit for Tottenham, but maybe a slightly realistic. And there are a few other names that have been floated around that we've been linked with that could also have a similar impact, even if it's on more of a shorter term deal. One of those players is Douglas Luiz, who obviously moved from Aston Villa to Juventus over the last season or so, and he's actually done quite well. However, I think Juventus are struggling with their finances slightly. They're looking to cut Dusan Vlahovic as well, and Douglas Luiz save a bit of money, and there is potential for us to pick up a really smart deal here. Obviously, he's getting towards his late 20s, but we know that he's Premier League proven, and we saw how good he can be when he was on top form for Aston Villa. And again, he's someone that loves to control the midfield, dictate the passing tempo, play forwards, and he can dribble with it as well. And those of you that have watched him very closely, you will know that he has scored screamers in his time in Aston Villa's team. With Douglas Luiz, you're looking at someone who's both physically very capable but also technically adequate, so it's the best of both worlds here. And I think if you could get a deal for 20 to 30 million for someone like him, we should be all over it. Would he be at the top of my list? Probably not, but he would be an acceptable signing, in my opinion, for that role. In a similar light, I do want to talk about João Paulinho a little bit. Now, he is the oldest of the names that we've sort of been linked with, so it'd probably be a 2-year deal maybe to sign him. I think he's 30 now. And he is, again, someone else, Premier League proven. He spent the last year at Bayern Munich. We know he's got talent, and when he was at Fulham, he was insane. He was linked with all sorts of clubs, obviously proved his worth by getting his move to Bayern Munich, and now, again, there is potential that Bayern want to cash in on him after just a year there. And he is a true powerhouse when it comes to winning the ball back. That is his speciality. It is 3.19 tackles per 90 in the Bundesliga last season, which by far and away is the highest stat of any of the players that I'm going to mention in these charts. Aerial duels won as well. He is a big, tall, physical guy. You're going to do so well to beat him in the air. Again, a smart signing to make. Would he be at the top of everyone's list? Probably absolutely not. But if you were to come back to someone like Belieber or Adam Wharton in a year or two, Palhinha, I think, would be the perfect gap stop to fill that hole for the next couple of years. Fifth and final player I want to mention is a name you've probably heard a lot this summer, Richard Rios, who is playing in the Brazilian league. He is Colombian, thriving at Palmeiras, and he is someone that almost every top club in Europe has been linked with. The stats for him are absolutely insane. Now, obviously, we take this with a pinch of salt because it is not the Premier League or one of these top European leagues. Having said that, the Brazilian teams held their own in the Club World Cups. So I do not think that we can be too lenient on him. He is still a very good player, and I said that Belieber's stats are almost all in the green. Richard Rios' stats are also almost in the green. And the rumours are that he could go for about 30 million euros, which I think would be a fantastic pickup. He gets really good in terms of his take on, so he can carry the ball superbly. It's his blocks that really make him stand out. He will put his heart and soul on the line, on the pitch, whatever game it is, whether it's a friendly, a cup final, he is there, and we would love to have a character like that at Spurs. I think we saw it in the Europa League final with the commitment from the players, and we've not necessarily seen that too often from Spurs in the last few years, but Rios would really bring that hunger, that drive, that South American sort of bite, that fierceness, that physicality, and I really think that that is something that could elevate us, even if it's not necessarily straight away. 2.68 tackles per 90, 1.86 blocks per 90, as well as lots of progressive passes, creating chances for his team as well. He is all over the place, and he can also play as a number 8, so he's interchangeable with the rest of the squad. So maybe we should go with someone a little bit less experienced, but with a higher ceiling, perhaps, than the likes of Paulinho, Douglas Luiz, etc. Now, I do want to give a shout out for a couple of other names that people will probably crucify me for not mentioning. You've also got Lucien Agume, who's playing at Sevilla at the moment. He has been linked with Spurs. I don't know too much about him, but he has been playing for the France under-21 side alongside Matthias Tell and Wilson Odobert. So I caught glimpses of him in the tournament. He would be a potentially smart signing, 23 years old. Hayden Hackney as well, who's playing at Middlesbrough. Can he make that step up to the Premier League? I'm unsure maybe on that deal, but he's another name that don't be surprised to see us linked with in the next few weeks. Morten Frendrup as well, someone who plays for Genoa in the Italian league. Could be a classic Fabio Paratici signing, who knows? And then finally, Edison from Atalanta, who I think we were linked with a couple of seasons ago, but he never really got more progressive than that in terms of a move for Tottenham. So there are plenty of other names that we've been linked with and we could look into, but the 5 I've gone into detail on are the players that I think are realistic options for Tottenham. Wharton and Belieber is going to be very difficult to get them over the line this summer, but maybe next year we could go back in for one of them, which is why I think we're seeing a mix of these younger players and then Douglas Luiz, João Paulinho, players more towards the other end of their career is what I would say, as maybe like a stopgap for the next couple of seasons. But let me know who you think would be the perfect number 6 signing for Tottenham under Thomas Frank. I've already said mine, Carlos Belieber. If there is a chance, let's get him in a Tottenham shirt. I think he would take us to a new level, but I hope to see us make that signing soon. I hope to see the Morgan Gibbs-White deal over the line soon, and it is only a few days now until pre-season, a month until the Super Cup against PSG. I cannot wait for us to be back. Note before I go, I did do a live stream earlier today on Sunday. For those of you that tuned in, thank you so much and welcome to the channel if you found me through that. I'm going to be doing loads more live streams throughout the summer and in the 25-26 season, so make sure, as I say, you subscribe and turn those notification bells on if you don't want to miss any of my content. Like I say, 60 to 70% of you guys watching this video aren't subscribed to me, and I am on the path to 5k. I'm making sure I get there by the end of the season. But thank you once again for your support. Enjoy your week I will see you guys in the next video very, very soon, or the next live stream. But as always, come on, you Spurs.